So this is part 2 to the previous video where we have this nosy coworker that constantly keeps looking at our data, and they know that they're not supposed to, but they're determined to do it anyway. So one day the same coworker goes out of their way to personally, verbally come over to tell us face to face that they are not going to stop looking at our data, and there's absolutely nothing that we are going to do to stop them. And that's when we go ahead and sit back and say, "Aw, that's so sweet of you. Have some? It's ice cold." And then you go ahead and follow these quick, simple instructions to put an end to this madness. Let's get it. So let's go ahead and start with the first step by pressing F12 to access the Save As screen. Let's make sure that for the file type, we save this as a macro-enabled workbook, and let's give the file a name. So let's go ahead and make sure that you have access to the developer tab. If you don't see it as a tab, right click, customize ribbon, and then look for developer and make sure that that box is checked and press OK. So I'm making sure that my sales worksheet is selected, and I'm going to the insert tab because I want to insert a shape. I'm going to search for laugh, and when I see the emoji that I want to use, I'm going to click insert. While this shape is still selected, I'm going to use the name box to rename this to LOL. So then I'm going back to insert, and I want to insert some word art this time, and this is the one that I want to use. And I'm going to change this font size to 40, and then I'm just going to type womp womp. While this is still selected, I'm going to use the name box to rename this to womp. So this is where the stay in your lane happens. So let's access the VB editor by pressing Alt and F11. Now I'm about to assign each worksheet an actual code name. It's important to do this because let's say if someone comes in and changes the name of each worksheet, we want to make sure that our code will still run successfully without any issues. So I'm going to assign each worksheet a name. Spaces are not allowed. So with the first billing worksheet, I'm going to name that billing underscore data. And then the next one for the accounts worksheet, that will be account underscore data. And then the last worksheet, sales, I'm going to name that sales underscore data. So now you can see that we have our code names for all three worksheets. So now we're going to right click on this workbook, click insert, and then click module. This is where we are going to write our code. Now let me go ahead and share something with you just in case you're new to creating macros. And we're essentially building a program, but don't let that intimidate you because we're going to make this easy. So let's go ahead and start typing in, let's say for instance, our sales underscore data. Type in the first few letters of sales and then press Control and the space bar. This will automatically fill in the entire code name of sales underscore data for us. Now let's go ahead and type in a period and then go ahead and start typing in an A, and I'm looking for activate. I can see that it populated in the list. So at this point, without typing out the entire word activate, I can go ahead and press the tab key or the space bar key to go ahead and populate that word for me. Knowing what I just told you will drastically speed up the process when we're actually coding. So with this next block of code, it's going to be a lot shorter. So let's go ahead and start by typing sub and then vanish. You don't have to use the word vanish. You can use whatever word you want to or whatever phrase you want to. Just remember not to use any spaces. Now with the next couple of lines of code, this is what hides the worksheets and prevents the user from being able to right click and press unhide to see the worksheets. Now with the next couple of lines of code, this is what hides the emoji and the actual text box that we created earlier. So now that we have all of our code here for the first part of the process, I'm going to make Excel visible in the background. Let's go ahead and click anywhere within our code, and then I'm going to press F F8. F8 will allow me to step through the code line by line. And this is good because it allows you to see how the macro is controlling Excel in the background as you go line by line with the actual code. Now, let's say if you get to a good point to where you don't want to continue to go through this line by pressing F8, just go ahead and press F5 and that will quickly run through the rest of the code, just as long as you don't have any errors in your code. So let's go ahead and start by typing sub space billing underscore only and press enter. Now for the billing underscore only, feel free to give it whatever name you want to for this part, but you can't use spaces. Now for every apostrophe that you see followed by green font, these are just strictly comments. With these comments, I put these here, which just give a brief overview of what each line of code is doing. Every line of code is in black. It has the black font. Now, when you go to replicate this, it's not necessary to add the comments, so you can definitely leave those out. Now, I will say if you do this type of work for a living, and if you're creating several macros, or even if you have to go and make modifications to this one several months down the road, having the comments is really nice because it allows you to quickly find whatever it is that you're looking for a lot faster with the comments. So let's go ahead and look at this line by line. So with the first line of code, dim user underscore response as string, this line of code stores the user's entry that they enter in the input box. Now with the next line of code, this is what actually populates the inbox that the user is going to see. And then it also makes sure that we're on the correct worksheet, which is the sales worksheet. Now for the next line of code, this is what checks to see if the user enters the correct password. The password that we are assigning for this is "oh not today!" exclamation point. Now feel free to use whatever password you want to, and in this case it is case sensitive. Now with the next line of code, this hides the emoji and the text that we added earlier. If the user entered the correct password, there's no need to show the emoji along with that text. Now with the next line of code, this is what shows the worksheets that were hidden. So if the person enters the correct password, we do want those worksheets to be visible. Now, if the actual user clicks cancel or presses the exit button, this is what detects if they press the exit button or clicked cancel. Now, with the next line of code, this is what detects if the user entered an incorrect password. This is the message that the actual user will see. And also, if they entered the incorrect password, that's when we do want to display the emoji along with the actual text. So now we're at a stage where we're done with the actual coding piece. So let's go ahead and add some buttons to make this user friendly for our users when they run the macro. So let's go ahead and right click on the quick access toolbar. Then I'm going to click customize quick access toolbar. For the choose commands from popular commands, let's change this to macros. Now on the right side, the name of my file is no not today. So I want that to apply only to this file and not the rest of the files, not all files. So I'm going to select vanish on the left side, and I'm going to click add, go to modify, and then I'm going to select my icon and click OK. So then I'm going to follow these same steps for the billing only macro, and I'm going to select my icon and press OK. Now, if we have a user who's familiar with running macros, you can also press Alt and F8 to run a macro. In addition to running the macro from here, you can see that we have an edit button, and if you click that, that will take you directly into our code. So we don't want a user going in to look at our code, because then at that point, they can see what password we set up for the user, the input box, which which pretty much defeats the purpose if they can see the password. So what we want to do is password protect our code. So what we're going to do while we're in VB Editor, let's go ahead and right click on module, select VBA project properties, and then we're going to click the protection tab. Let's go ahead and check lock project for viewing, and let's enter a password. Now beware, once you set up this password, do not forget it. Keep it in a safe place, because if you lose it, there is no way to reset the password in Excel. And it is case sensitive, by the way. So let's go ahead and click OK, save the changes to the file, and then we're going to close out of the actual workbook so that way the password will take. Now, when we go back to reopen this, when prompted, we do want to click enable content. In order for a user to interact with the macros, they must click enable content. Now, let's go ahead and go back to the VB editor, and let's go ahead and click on module. When we go there, you can see that we're prompted to enter a password. If it's incorrect, we cannot see that code. Now let's go ahead and go back to pressing Alt and F8 in Excel, and you can see that the user still has the ability to run the macro, but now the edit button is disabled. So the more you do this, the better you'll get at it, the faster you'll get at it. But macros are definitely very powerful. So I definitely wanted to share this with y'all. Catch up with y'all later. Bye.